Good morning, YouTube. I am Bearded Ink, and today we're going to cover the basic installation and setup of OBS Studio on your PC. Now, this is a very basic tutorial. We're going to cover the basic steps required to get you streaming from OBS today. There will be a second part that has a lot more advanced setup and configuration details in it, but this one is just designed to cover all of the basics and kind of go over some of the things that you're going to need to be aware of inside the OBS interface. This guide is also meant for those of you that may be new to PC, if you're moving over from like streaming from a console, or if you're using something like the StreamLabs Desktop or the StreamElements OBS Live. This is to show you that OBS is by itself a little bit more powerful, a little less resource intensive than those other ones, and it doesn't come with all the bloatware that you don't need. But today we're going to cover downloading, installing, the initial configuration for your streaming service, and some basic setup steps to get you ready to go live. So why would you want to use OBS as opposed to some of those other easier systems? And the biggest reason is basically freedom. OBS Studio is the #1 platform for streaming software currently in use right now. There are other options for you available out there, such as Polypop or Meld, the StreamLabs Desktop, like we talked about earlier. But these have a lot of limitations, or they are resource intensive. The StreamLabs one in particular is just a resource beast because it comes with everything that that program or that company offers, whether you want it or not. And it is in use and drawing resources from your PC, whether you use them or not. So with the power of OBS, you get to control what you want installed, what you want to use, and how it is used on your PC. Eventually, most streamers find that they outgrow some of those other services and they just get scared to use OBS Studio. So this guide is to show you basically how easy it is. And if you have used those other softwares before, you're going to be more comfortable than you realize using OBS Studio. And of course, it is daunting, right? Anything new with a lot of buttons and features and configurations and stuff is going to be a bit overwhelming. So this guide is to kind of help show you how to navigate the interface, as well as understand that it's not that bad and you can do it. Because if I can do it, you can do it, right? Okay, so let's just go ahead and get on over to it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to have to do is download OBS Studio. Now, OBS Studio is a open source software, which means it is free in both senses of the terms. It is free to use. It doesn't have any adware. There's no hidden purchases or anything like that, but it's also free as an open source free, which means you can take the source code and make changes and redistribute it. Which is something like the StreamLabs Desktop. That's exactly what they've done. Is they've taken OBS Studio, the raw source code, and made the changes to add all of their stuff in. So again, like I said in the intro, if you've used something like StreamLabs or the StreamElements versions of OBS, you're using OBS Studio, you just don't realize it. So we're going to come to obsproject.com, and all the clickable links will be in the description below. So make sure you check those out. And really, we're going to cover the Windows installation, but OBS Studio is available on Windows, Mac, and Linux. So when you come to the project, you will see the big blue buttons right here at the top, and you just click on whichever one you're using, and you're going to get prompted to download the exe installer. I'm going to show you an alternative method of installation because that's what I have to use because I already have the exe version installed and running. That's what I'm using to record this video with. But what you would do is, let's just say you're running on Windows, you're going to click the little blue button. It's going to take you to the downloads page. And then we're going to just download the installer. And you would say save there. Okay. what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the download button up here in the top right, and I'm going to come down and get the zip file. Now, the zip file is meant for those of you that may not want to fully install, or you want to install a second copy, like I'm going to do to show you, because you can have multiple instances running. It also allows you to use what OBS calls portable mode. So you can install the zip file to a thumb drive or an external hard drive, and then you can run it from there without having everything going into like the app data folders in the registry and things like that. But for 99% of you, you're going to click the exe installer. So once you get those files, this is what you're going to have. This one here, this is the exe. You're going to double click it. You're going to go through the Windows UAC. If it pops up, and say, yes, I trust this service. And then you're going to go through the installer. So let me just show you real quick what that's going to look like. Click yes on the UAC. So this is going to show you the current version as of this recording is 30.1.2, which is quite stable release. I have been using it for a little while now without many issues, and a much less issues than version 30 or the latest 29. So you click on next, and this one's going to tell me it's already running. So I'd have to close it to install. So I can't show you any further, but it is a basic installer. You're going to go through, it'll show you where it's going to install. In this case, it's going to install into your program files or your program x86. So it could be in the x86, but default is into the program folders, and it's just going to put a little OBS Studio folder there. It's also going to add some entries to your registry, and it's going to add a few things to your app data folders, right? So in there, this is where you're going to have everything for you. So once you get through that installation, you can kind of fast forward to the next section. Okay, for the rest of us, the other 1%, we're going to have this little zip file here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to unzip the zip file. And it does take a couple seconds because there are a lot of little files in there. Okay, and once it's done, and we're going to be left with this folder here. Now you can rename this folder to anything you like. I just prefer to just like name it OBS because I know what it is, or I can name it OBS tester, something like that, so you know what it is, especially if you have multiple instances. Now, if I come into this directory here, we're going to see we have some of the same folders here that are in the default installation. But nothing has been installed. So I would have to come to the bin, the 64-bit, and scroll down to the exe here and run it there. But if I try to do that now, it's going to give me the same error. So because I'm already running a version, I have to do a little thing called portable mode, and I have to put OBS into portable mode. And the way to do that is you come in here and you make a new text file. So we're just going to do a text document, and we're going to name this OBS underscore portable mode dot txt. We don't do anything else. That's it. You don't have to add any text. You don't have to put anything in this document at all. Just a blank text file named OBS portable mode. And then when we come in here, I'll show you. We're going to click the exe. It's going to load up. And as you can see at the very top here, let me zoom in for you. It shows you right here, we are in portable mode. Okay. So again, for those of you that have done the exe installer, you don't need to worry about any of that. This is just for those that want to maybe run a second instance of OBS if you're doing a tutorial, for example. That way you can show things in OBS without having to show your running version of OBS with all of your stuff, or, hide your camera so it doesn't do that infinity mirror thing. So that is the portable version and what we're looking for. So once you have OBS installed, either through the zip file or the exe, when you first start OBS Studio, you're going to get something that looks like this pop up. Okay. It should look like this. It may not be full screen. It may be windowed or whatever. But we're going to go ahead and use the auto configuration wizard. So we're going to cover this in a little bit of detail before we move on to just using OBS to stream. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this up to stream on Twitch, but the same steps that are involved, whether you're streaming on YouTube or Facebook or Kick, TikTok, whatever your streaming service is, the steps are the same. You're just going to have a few different changes based on where you're streaming to. Okay. So the first thing you see on the auto configuration wizard that pops up is that we have three options. How are we planning to use OBS Studio? Now, this only matters as far as the configuration wizard and what it actually looks for as far as resources on your computer and your internet connection and things like that. So most of you are going to use the top version. Optimized for streaming, recording is secondary. And then the option below that is the opposite of that, where you optimize for recording, you're not going to be streaming. Or you can only use OBS as a virtual camera. And this is things for like Zoom meetings and things like that. You can actually use OBS to configure your camera and run filters and things like that on to make it look better. But for 99% of you, just use the first version, optimized for streaming. Now, does this really matter? In the end, no, because we're going to go through all the settings anyway and make it streamlined for your personal use, and streaming or recording being secondary doesn't really matter in the end, but you have to pick an option. So go to the first one, click on next. Okay. Now you're going to do your base canvas resolution and your FPS. Now, this is going to default to whatever your resolution of your current monitor is. So if you are on a 720p monitor or whatever, it's going to ask you that. I highly recommend that you use 1920 by 1080, just the flat rate one, because that's going to just be your base. This is basically what's going to be output to your streams. And the canvas, what it's talking about here, the base canvas, that's this black area behind. This is where we're going to put all of our stuff on the screen. So if it's on this black section, it's shown on the stream or on your recording. Okay, so that is like your canvas, and everything else is like your paints or whatever. So this is the size of this black section as far as the program is concerned. And then your FPS, you can leave it at either 60 or 30, or if you know that everything that you use is going to be 60 frames a second, you can do that. It doesn't really matter here, but I like to do this one because it gives OBS the flexibility to automatically fluctuate its internal FPS and resource usage to help minimize and pull resources away from things that may not need it, such as like your CPU. When you're in a high intense graphic use game or something, it'll pull resources from things that aren't being used and move those frames and that resource allotment to like your GPU to make things run smoother. So click on next there. And now we're at our service here. Okay. You can pick your service from the drop down. Twitch is the default, but there are a lot, and I'm going to show you here. The defaults are Twitch, YouTube, Facebook Live, Restream, and Twitter. Or you can do a custom one if it's a service that isn't listed. But most services are listed, and I'll show you what I mean. You can click on Show All, and you're going to see that this now becomes a scrollable drop-down list with pretty much every streaming service known to man, most of which you've probably never even heard of. Okay. But we're going to go ahead and stick to Twitch. And then with Twitch, you can connect your account automatically or use a stream key. I highly recommend, please do the connect account, the recommended one here. Now you can use a stream key. You can go to your Twitch dashboard. You can, excuse me, you can go to your Twitch dashboard. You can get the stream key. You can put the stream key in. You'll connect. It'll be fine. You'll stream to Twitch when you click the start streaming button. With the connect account, OBS will actually pull details from Twitch into OBS. So you will get things like your chat, your information panel, which is where you go in Twitch to set your stream title and your tags in the game and all of that thing. You also get your alerts, notifications window, and you'll get docs for your stats, like how long you've been live, how many viewers you have, and things like that. So I highly, highly recommend you do that. Now, what's going to happen when you click on this button is it's going to give the authorization. So you're going to log in, and we're just going to log in with my robot account. So I'm just going to type in robot bearded, and that's just because I already have everything installed and set up for my main Twitch account. So we're just going to use my bot account for now. We're going to put the password in, and we're going to click login. Now, if you have two-factor authentication, it's going to ask you to do that, whether it's through your email, through an SMS text, or through your two-factor authentication. So you put that in, and then you'll be ready to go. So I'm just waiting for mine to come through. Once you're logged in and authenticated, you're going to be met with these extra check marks. Now, again, with YouTube or TikTok, Facebook Live, Twitter, things like that, you're going to need to use the stream key option, or like the RTS version for YouTube and things like that. So you'll just follow along with those steps, but it's basically the same process. You'll log in, you'll authenticate your account, and then you'll be good to go. So the estimate bit rate with bandwidth test is going to it's going to send packets out and try to receive them from Twitch or YouTube or your streaming service. And it's going to test various things such as latency, which server is closest to you that you should connect to. And it does take a couple of minutes. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now, the prefer hardware encoding, we always want to leave that checked because we do, and we can turn this off later if needed, but it's always best to start with it on so that you know what your system is capable of. So once you have both of these checked, we're going to click on next. And then this is where it's doing the testing, the bandwidth, it's sending the packets and things like that. So we're just going to wait for this to finish. Once it's all done, it is going to automatically set certain things up in the settings files of OBS that will be the best, quote unquote, options for you to go live with. So you can get a rundown of what it did set here, which service we're connected to, the video bit rate, the hardware encoding for your streaming and recording, your canvas resolution, and your FPS. And so if you want to use those settings, you're going to click apply. Now, once you click apply, you're going to see a whole bunch of shit on mine pop up. That's because, remember, I told you we connected to Twitch using the recommended version. So we're going to get all of those docs that get popped in. So let's go ahead and do that. There's my chat. We're going to get a couple of other things too if we wanted them. There we go. There's the stream information. So with a dock, you can basically just move them around. You can actually dock them places. So like I like to put my chat over here, and then we can stretch it out a little bit. This is my stream information. So this is the title of my stream, my go live notification. This is the game category, your tags. You can enter your tags here, your language, your content labels, all of the stuff, just like you do when you're setting it up on the Twitch dashboard. It's all here, right here for you in a doc, so you don't have to go back to your dashboard. Now, the Twitch version does come with a couple extra docs, so I'm going to go ahead and show you those as well. Right up here, let me zoom in and show you. Right up here at the top, we're going to click on docs. Okay, and then as you can see if I can bring this down a little bit. As you can see, there are a few things here. We have the stats panel, the Twitch stats, and the Twitch activity feed, which are not checked. Now, you'll notice scenes, sources, audio mixer, scene transitions, controls. All of these are already checked, which means that they are already docked in OBS, and that's what these are here. Here's your scenes, your sources, the audio mixer, scene transition, the controls, etc. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and check all three of these as well. We want our stats, and the stats here, that's the OBS stats. Now this shows you things like your disk usage, your available disk space, your FPS, and things like that. So it's really good to have that. We're going to go back to docs, and we're going to do the same thing for Twitch stats And then we're going to go back to docs and do the same thing for Twitch activity feed. Okay. And then we'll zoom out. So what this is basically is your Twitch stats. Shows you if you're online or offline, how long you've been online once you are, your number of viewers, your number of followers, and your number of subscribers, which is a lot of great information to have. So we're going to drag that on top of the stream information. And I want you to look right here when I do this. Let's look at the bottom right here. Okay, so we have the stream information panel here. Now, when I drag the Twitch stats over, you can see that there is a little tab that says stream information. So if I let go, now I have the Twitch stats and the Twitch stream information as tabs on the bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and bring the activity feed. We're going to bring that over here as well. Okay, now I can zoom out and show you. So we have our 3 tabs and our 3 panels here. Now, you, of course, can drag these and set these up however you want. Okay, if you want to put your Twitch stats, if you want to put it across the top, you can do that. If you want to grab it and put it over here as a tab, if you want to drag it down here and put it in the bottom, if you want to put it over the top, however best fits your specific needs and your layout. You can put chat on the left side. You can put chat on the top. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to show you a couple of little tricks and how I personally have it set up. It may help you out. It may not. I don't know. But I like to keep my scenes and my sources separated, but then everything else kind of goes together. So I got my scene transitions. I'm going to put those over here with the audio mixer. And then I also have my controls. So mine kind of looks like this. Now, here's another option too for you. Let me go ahead and zoom in down here on the bottom so you can see what I'm talking about. So I have my controls. This is your, let me follow. This is your start streaming, start recording, studio mode, your settings, quick settings actions, and of course, close OBS. And then when you click on one of these, it'll change from start to stop. The scene transitions is one of the docs that was automatically put in there. The stats window, which is one that we just added, and then our audio mixer, that's where all of our audio stuff is. Now you can drag these tabs to reorder them. Okay, so if you want to do something like that, you can. Now this is basically how I have mine, but it's okay. However you want to do it, however you want to do it. But this, I then bring over here, and I bring this over here a little bit, and I'm going to show you why. Because the new version, OBS 30, has a new thing where you can have full length docs, which means they'll go from top to bottom. Previously, you could only do it to a certain point, like here. So we're going to go back up into docs, and you're going to see up here we have full height doc. Okay, and if I do that, you'll see that now the side panels that I have docked on the side are now full length, and it's kind of squished everything in the middle. But I do this for a couple of reasons. One, I like to have a bigger chat. It's easier to see and follow, especially if chat's moving pretty quick. You know, I don't miss as much because I'm not using a small chat window. But I don't need my Twitch activity log or my stream information or my Twitch stats to be that long. Right, so I'm going to show you a little trick that I do, and what I do is I take my scenes folder here, or my scenes doc, and instead of dragging it and putting it on top, I drag it towards the bottom and I put it underneath, and then I can resize this because it is a full width doc, and I just line it all up with this stuff here. So this is all the same, but I still have my full width chat over on the side. Again, this is all cosmetic, but it is to show you that you can move your docs around and you can get everything how you like it, and to have set up, you know, something that's pleasing to you so that you know where everything is and you can find it yourself. And we're going to go ahead and make this a little bit wider as well. All right. Now, a lot of you may be saying, oh my God, that OBS looks ugly. Some of you like it. I don't. I like the older style of the OBS look. So we're going to go ahead and change that. And I'm going to show you a couple of the settings while we're in there that you need to take note of as well. So let's go ahead and go into settings. Now there's two ways to do that. First, again, on the controls, you can click on the settings button here, or you can go up here. We can go on file and go to settings. Okay. And when you do, you're going to get met with this window here. Now this is all settings for OBS. Now the general tab, you're going to have tabs on the left, and then you'll have your sections on the right over here. So the general tab is where you start, your default language, and then the default theme. Now I like to do dark. This is pretty similar to the default theme of OBS 29 and older, or 27 and older. Yeah, this is an older version of OBS. But this is what it looks like. It's what I'm used to seeing. And it also gives me a slight little bit more screen space because it doesn't have the big bubbly graphic look. But you can choose whatever one you like. As you can see here, there are quite a few in there. And then down here, a couple of things I like to change. The source alignment snapping. This is when you're moving things around on the canvas, they will snap into position. I do have it enabled, but the only one I have checked here is the snap sources to horizontal center. And basically that just centers everything, or the selected one, not everything. But I don't like to have it to snap to other sources or to the edge of the screen, because sometimes I like to move things and get them within a couple of pixels of each other, you know, for my OCD. And if you have that snap on, it will be very frustrating. Everything else on this page you can go through and kind of look at, but you don't really need to change anything. Most of this is for more advanced stuff that we will cover later. Okay, but I do want to point out a couple things. First, let's go to the Stream tab over here. This is where your services are located, so you can change your service here. It'll show you if you're connected or not. So if you're not connected, it'll say connect account. You can redo the bandwidth test mode. And then you'll have various options depending on which service you're connected to. So since we're connected to Twitch, we have the Twitch chat add-ons, which is the Better Twitch TV and Franker Faces emotes. So I'm going to go ahead and turn those on. And basically all this does is if somebody uses an emote from Better Twitch TV or Franker Faces, it will show up in that chat doc as an emote. And then I check the ignore streaming service settings because we're going to make a little bit of change. So you're going to get a warning when you check this box that says, hey, may result in degraded stream quality. Just click yes, because we're not going to degrade our stream quality. We're actually going to make it a little bit better. But by default, Twitch only allows you to have 6,000 kilobytes per second of the video bitrate and the 320 kilobytes for audio. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click on output. And we're going to come up here. You're going to see at the very top, let me zoom in again. You're going to see that there are two options, simple and advanced. Now for this tutorial, we're going to leave it on simple. The next tutorial will cover all of the advanced stuff. Like I said, we're just trying to get you started streaming right now. Okay. But what I do want you to do is I want you to come in here and I want you to change this video bit rate from 63 or from 6,000 to 6,500. And a brief topic on this. I'm going to cover it more in the other tutorial, but I don't want this to go on forever. Okay. The video bit rate is the quality of your stream. The higher the bit rate, the higher quality your stream will appear. The crispness, the colors, the lack of a lag and things like that. But again, it's based on what your system can handle, but it's also based on what your service can handle. Facebook, YouTube, even Twitch, most of them recommend about 6,000 KBS, right? But what you may not know is if you're on Twitch, non-affiliates get a maximum of 6,200, give or take. Affiliates get up to 8,000 kilobytes per second and partners up to 10,000. But it's all based on how long you've been an affiliate or a partner, and of course, what your machine can handle. And you don't want to ever go over those hidden numbers or else your stream can crash because Twitch will be like, no, you're not allotted that. So they'll slow everything down. But because of the video bit rate and the way everything is sent through, it's going to fluctuate up and down. So if you have it set to 6,500, you may notice that you're only sending 6200 at sometimes, but you may send 7200 at other times. So it's going to fluctuate in this 500 to 700 kilobyte window. So you kind of want to have that level, but a little bit higher so that you can reach those higher ends. And that's where you're really going to stay for the most part. The audio bit rate, we want to drop that down to 320 because that is the max. Now, quick note for my YouTube friends out there, if you're streaming on YouTube, YouTube does not allow 320 kilobyte audio. It only allows the 160. So you want to do 160. But for everybody else, you can go to 320. And again, the higher bit rate just means a little bit crisper, cleaner audio. I don't know why YouTube doesn't allow the 320, but they don't. So for now, until they change that, you need to leave yours at 160, else you're going to get a warning when you try to go live. Okay, the video encoder and the presets and all of that is everything that was set up during that auto configuration. So we're going to leave the video encoder alone. The preset, I wouldn't go any higher than P6. There's no real human eye visual difference between P6 and P7. And it is about an 8% resource use to go from P6 to P7. And since there is no visual difference, save your resources, put it on P6. The rest of this stuff you can pretty much leave alone because it was all set correctly. And then the only other thing I want to do is I want to come to audio and I want to come to the advanced section down here. Let me zoom in for you. This is going to be what you hear in your ears. So you want to select your headphones. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if you have this set to default, which it is by default, when you load OBS Studio, it's going to default to whatever the audio output device is that Windows is currently using. So if you're one of those people like me, you have the wireless headsets and you turn them off and you load OBS, because they're turned off, Windows isn't connected to them. So it'll default to one of your monitors or another output source. That's what OBS will use. And when you turn your headset on, OBS will not switch over to the new input like Windows does because it's already been set. So once you load OBS, it sets all of this stuff up and then it's like, okay, we're ready. So if you have it on default and you have your headphones turned off, you're not going to have audio in your ears when you go live. So change it to your headphones or whatever system speakers or output that you use when you go live, and you won't ever have to worry about that being an issue. And you can turn your headphones on after OBS is open and it'll still connect. Okay. For everything else, I think we're going to leave alone for today because we're pretty much good to go. So we're going to come down here to the bottom. We're going to click apply for all the changes we made, and we're going to click OK. And so that's it for the basic settings. You're going to have a higher quality stream. You're going to have good sound, and you're going to be able to hear things. So this is what we're left with now, right? We're logged in here. We are got our windows and our docks and everything set up how we like. OBS looks cool. It looks good and groovy, but we don't have anything. We have a scene. And then as you can see, we have our desktop audio and our microphone. And as you can see, the microphone is already going because it's set to default. And that is my microphone. So let's go ahead and we're going to do a couple things. We're going to make a couple scenes. Now, one thing I want to tell you about the scenes, let me zoom in over here so you can see. The scenes, there has to be a scene, always. You cannot come in here and delete this scene. Even though, whoops, let me follow. Even though it says I can remove it, I'm going to get a warning. There needs to be at least one scene. Okay, so we're going to come back here. Now, what you can do is you can add a new scene and then delete this, or you can just come in here and rename it. So I'm going to rename this one starting soon. Maybe. Okay, so I got my starting soon scene here. And then I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to click the little plus button and we're going to add a new scene, and it's going to give us this pop up over here. Looks like this. And then we're going to name this one. I'm going to name this one my game scene. Okay. And then so now you can see that that is there as well. And then we're going to go ahead and come down here. We're going to add another one, and we're going to name this one my BRB scene. Okay. So you can have as many scenes as you want. You can have them named whatever you want. This again is just basic so that you can click go live and test everything out today. All right. So we're going to click now, whatever scene you click on, whichever one is highlighted is the scene that is currently visible. So I'm just going to show you a couple little things to highlight that and what I mean. So with our starting soon, what we're going to do, maybe we want to have something that just says, hey, you know, stream is live, but we're not quite ready yet. Everybody come on in. Let's run our ads or whatever. So you may have a background movie or a video or a image or something that you want to show. Okay. Because you don't want just a black screen, right? So on the sources now we're over here. So the sources, and this is where we can add new sources. Now, I like to think of this as like a bookshelf. Okay. The scenes over here that we have, let me follow again. The scenes that we have are the shelves that our books are on. Okay. So this is our basic bookshelf layout. So the starting soon shelf will then have the sources on it, and the sources are the individual books that are on that shelf. So if we're looking at the starting soon shelf, we're going to see the starting soon books. If we're looking at the game scene shelf, we're going to be looking, if that kind of helps you visualize how this works. It did me, so that's why I'm passing it on to you. Okay. But what we're going to do is we need to add a source. So when you click on the plus over here on sources, you're going to see a different list, and we're going to be able to add all of these types of sources. So there's audio input, that's your microphone. There's audio output, that's going to be things like your game or your alerts, things like that. A browser source. So if you've ever had anything external that you're showing on stream, sound alerts, for example, Twitch Guru and his Twitch, anything from Stream Elements, right? Your scenes and stuff and widgets that you make in Stream Elements, those are all browser sources. This is where you would set those up. Your game and display captures, your images, your media sources. You can have nested scenes, text, which we're going to go ahead and add some of that. Your video capture device, which would be your webcam. So your beautiful face is on there, just like mine. Right? Okay. And then window capture as well. So we have all of these options. So depending on what you want to add. So we want to go ahead and we want to add an image, I think, for our background. So we're going to name this. We're going to get this window up here once you click on that. And this is pretty basic for any source that you add. You're going to get to name it and then define it. So with an image, we're going to name this our starting background. And we're going to click OK. And then it's going to ask us, well, what image is it? So we're looking for the image file, and we can browse our computer. Let me zoom back out so you can see kind of full what's going on. We're going to click on browse. I'm going to go to my graphics folder here. We're going to look for some backgrounds. And then we're going to find a pretty one. I don't really have a pretty one. Here's a starting one that I use sometimes. So we'll just use that one. So there we go. There's Bearded Ink's starting screen background. So it has my socials on it. It's got my picture, my little Reaper dude, my name, and then it says hold tight, Bearded's on its way. And then I left room over here for like a little countdown timer or something like that. Okay. So one thing I want to notice when you add a source to your canvas, it's going to be outlined in red when it is selected. Okay. So if I unselect it, you'll see the little red outline goes away. But when I select it, it turns red and it has these little dots on it. Let's take a look. It's got these little dots right here. There's one on each corner and one in the middle of each side. And these are your resizing grab points. So we can come in here. I can grab a corner, for example, and I can click, hold, and drag and resize. I can move things around. And as you can see, it'll show you these red lines. It shows you the distance from the edge of the screen. So for example, right now, the top of this is 223 pixels from the top. And then the bottom is 223 pixels. Left is 396 and right is 396. And I said those backwards because I don't know my left from my right, apparently. But as you can see, it's dead center, right? So maybe that's how we like it. And then we can then, of course, add things around it, for example, to make more space, or we can put it in the corner and we can run, you know, whatever you want. But for me, I'm going to go ahead and leave this full screen. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go we're going to right click over here. I'm going to go to transform and I'm going to go fit to screen, and it's going to make it the full 1080 by 1920 by 1080 there. And then one other thing I like to note, and this is just a housekeeping feature, but I'm going to go ahead and show you now. You have two other icons next to the name of the feature, right? So this is what we've named our source. The eye icon makes it visible, right? Or invisible. So this is invisible. It's not going to be shown. And if this is not shown, it's not shown on stream. And then the lock icon is a savior. So when you click the lock icon, it closes the lock, it turns it white. But basically what that means is now this isn't selectable, it isn't clickable, I can't move it around. And I do, especially for those of you that may only have a single monitor, it's very common if you're coming into OBS and you would do something to accidentally hit like the right click or the low, and you end up moving your source, and then you've got to go, oh shit, what did I move? How do I get, if you lock it down, you prevent all of that. And then if you purposely want to move something, you can just come and unlock it. Just click that again, and then you can move it around, right? So we're going to go Control Z. There we go. Okay, we're going to lock that down. So now we have our starting soon scene. We can go live, but then we have nothing to transition to. So we're going to go to our game scene, and we're going to add a game. Let me go ahead and open a game over here. I'm just going to open something little. So I have now opened a game called Stream Racer. It's a little game we play on my stream sometime, a little BRB game, but we want to add it. So this comes from Steam. So any Steam game, Epic, GOG, Galaxy, anything running from your PC, for example, is going to be a game source. So again, hold on, get over here. So again, let me zoom in a little bit for you. We're going to click the plus icon, and we're going to come up here to game capture, because we want to capture our game source. So we click on that. We're going to get the same thing. We're going to get to name it and then define it. So with the game captures, I'm going to go ahead and zoom out so you can see everything when it pops up. We're just going to name this one the game. So I'm just going to remove the word capture. Now, it is important, any name you give, any source, any scene in OBS must be unique. So if I have a source named game, I can't have a scene named game. I can't have a source in a different scene named game. It had to be game one, game A, whatever. So OBS will alert you if you try to name something the same. It'll say, hey, that name's already in use, and you'll have to rename it. But just keep in mind, everything needs to be unique. So we're going to click OK here, and then we're going to get our properties. Excuse me. So let me zoom in and follow, because what I want to show you here, for most games, what you want to do is you want to capture a specific window. Okay. And then it's going to ask you, okay, what window do we capture? And so you're going to come in, drop this down, and you're going to look for your game. Now we're playing Stream Racer. So as soon as we connect there, okay, cool. And then you'll see it pop up as a preview. It also pops up in the window. But one other thing I like to do is you'll have window title must match, match title, otherwise find window of same type, or match title, otherwise find window of same executable. Now, window title must match used to be the default, and OBS thankfully finally changed it, but the option is still there. And of course, as you know, the window title is the name given on the window. So for this window, its title is properties for game. Okay, that's the title. If this ever changes, as you can see, it all goes away, right? Okay. So what we want is match title, otherwise find window of same executable. That way, if the game changes its window title within the game, it's not going to stop showing in OBS. Okay. Capture audio is a beta feature. You don't really need that because we're going to have everything coming through our desktop audio at the moment, but we are also going to, in the advanced tutorial, cover how to have specific control over every instance of anything that makes audio on your computer. So for the most part, the rest of this stuff you can leave blank. I would suggest for your game, you do capture the cursor. That way, when you're capturing your cursors over the game window, it'll show up. And because you want that in game, right? You want to know where you want to let people know where you're pointing at or whatever. The anti-cheat compatibility hooks, these are things for like your Valorant games, your BattleEye, your whatever, all of that anti-cheat crap for all the games. This will allow that to allow OBS so that you can actually show your game. Otherwise, if you don't have that, you may not be able to visually see your game in OBS. And then capture third-party overlays. You can select this. It's not going to hurt anything. And as you can, I'll show you what that does in a second. Actually, I'll just show you right now. If you look in the top corner up here, you see I have my FPS set on my Steam. So this is my Steam overlay. The FPS is displayed on all my games right here in this little green window. Now, if I uncheck this box, it's not going to allow those overlays to come through. And so you can see that the FPS is now gone. But your third-party overlays will be anything from Steam. So like if you stream like with those overlays, like I have with the FPS, or your big picture mode. If you have the NVIDIA overlays, which captures all your screenshots and your kills in Fortnite or whatever, you'll want those. So that's where you would do that. Everything else you can pretty much leave alone. And then we click OK, and we're going to go there. So we're going to lock our game down because we want our game full screen. You may not want it full screen. That's fine. Again, just like we did with the other thing, click the little red dots and drag it around. Okay. But we do want a webcam, right? Because we want to be seen as well as heard. So we're going to come down here again, and we're going to click here. We're going to do a video capture device because we're capturing video through our thing. And we're going to name this one webcam. Okay. And we're going to click OK. And again, we have our, let me zoom out. There it is. We're looking for the button. So we have our definition window. So we've named it. Now we got to define it. We're going to come down here. I'm going to get my camera. Hi, it's me. Here I am in multiple places, which is kind of weird. You get a lot of me, but here I am. So with this, you can also configure your videos, deactivate it. If you click on deactivate, it all turns off, and then you just activate it again to bring it all back. But most of this is going to be defined by your webcam or your camera or whatever input device you're using. So you can leave it as is, and we're just going to click OK. If you need to make changes, you can feel free to go through all of those settings and check it out. But maybe we don't want this so big, and maybe I don't want all of this extra stuff around my beautiful face to distract you from looking at me, right? So here's a couple things we can do, a couple tricks. One is going to be a lifesaver for you, and I'm going to teach you this for free. The Alt button. That's right, the little bitty button next to your space bar, either on the left or the right. You want to click that and hold it down. Okay, and then we're going to come to the Edge windows over here. Let me zoom in just a little bit. Weep. Ooh, hi. So we got the little red button. Now, if I drag this, as you can see, it resizes the whole window, right? So what I want to do instead is I want to click and hold the Alt key, and then I'm going to click and drag, and you see it turns into this green dot, and it crops. Okay, so let me zoom out so you can see what's going on here. There's the full window, and now we're cropping. Okay, and I can I'm still holding the Alt key down. Now I'm going to click this little dot and drag. There we go. And there's a lot of space over the top of my head, so we're going to bring that down a little bit. And there, now I feel a little bit better about my webcam frame, but it's still really large, right? So now without holding the Alt key, we're just going to click and drag to resize. And maybe I want to be like this big, I don't know. And we'll be up here in the corner or something. All right, so now I can see my game, chat can see my game, but they can still see me. Again, we're going to come back down here and we're going to lock this down. Okay, and I'm going to lower the volume on this because it is really loud and I don't want you to hear. But as you can see, the desktop audio is going. That is because all of my sounds are coming through my PC on my PC. And desktop audio is the default audio. So everything's coming in through that one channel. So this will be all of your browser source sounds, your alerts, your game, all of it will come through one source. And if it's too loud, you just grab this little bar and slide it to change the volume. And you can see here, you zoom in for you, that this is the audio. So like the green audio on the microphone, when I speak, it moves. This is the game audio. And as you can see, I have it muted. But as you can see right now, if I lower it, it gets quieter. If I bring it up, it gets louder, right? So we want to put this somewhere where it's going to be comfortable for our ears right now, just so you can hear it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute. And you can hear the Stream Racer music in the background, which really slaps, to be honest. Okay, so now we have our game scene, right? So if I come back here, I'm going to go ahead and mute this again. Just there we go. If I go to my BRB screen, okay, I don't really have anything there yet. So if I need to go to the bathroom or refill my coffee, I can do that. But I want to not have chat sit there and stare at a paused game and an empty chair. So I go to my BRB screen, my Be Right Back scene. And here maybe we have a little video we can show, or a clip, or another image that just says, "Hey, we'll be right back." So let's go ahead and do that. Let's add a background. So we're gonna click on the plus sign. We're gonna add another image. And we're gonna call this one the BRB background, or BRBBG. We're gonna get our definition window. We're gonna browse for that folder. So we're gonna go back to our graphics. Let's see what I got. I think I have some overlays I can use. I think I got some of these from Gaellevel. So we'll come here. Maybe there is a background one we can use. That's pretty bright. Holy crap. Oh, that's a little better. Does he have a Be Right Back one? He does. Here, we'll just use that. Okay. So we'll come in there. There we go. Boom. So there's a Be Right Back screen. It's telling you, hey, we'll be right back. Thank you, Gaellevel. I'll link to Gaellevel below. He's a great dude. Makes a lot of stuff for OBS. And does some tutorials as well. So check him out also. He's really cool. But we're going to go ahead and lock that down. And then here, this little window is like if you want to import your chat or whatever. So we can do a browser source for our chat. If you happen to have one, like if your chat comes through Stream Elements widgets or something like that, you can add that as well. So what we're going to do, we're going to add a video, but we're going to add a bunch of videos. I want to add my clips, right? But I don't want to play just one, because clips are only usually like 30 to 60 seconds, right? And I'm probably going to be gone longer than that. So what I would want to do is I want to come down here, and if you do not have the VLC media installed, I'm going to leave a link to the 64-bit version down below in the descriptions. Make sure you grab that, close OBS, install the VLC media player. And when you do, and then when you reopen OBS, you're going to see you have a new media. It's called the VLC video source. It's the same exact thing as a media source, but there's more control. So I'm going to show you what I mean. Okay, so here's the difference. Let's go ahead and make a media source. And we're just going to name this one test video, right? Okay. So here's what I can do. Let me show you what I can do with this one, right? I can come in here, and let's go ahead and follow as well. I can come in here. I can make it a local file. I can browse. So we're going to go ahead and browse. We're going to come in here to my programs, my graphics. I have videos. Wait, I have clips somewhere, don't I? I think I do. Yeah, here we go. So here's some of my clips, right? And we'll just do, I don't know, this one. Okay. So I can have a video, and I can loop it, and it'll just play over and over and over and over and over. I can restart playback when the source becomes active. That basically means when the scene comes to the scene, or the visibility becomes visible, it'll start over from the beginning. Otherwise, it'll pause and pick up where it left off. And then we can leave everything else default the way it is, and we can click OK. And then here's the video with audio, right? And you can see that the video, you probably hear it. I'm going to go ahead and mute that. But there's our video. And then of course we can resize that down, you know, and put that down here in the corner or whatever, so everybody can still see the BRB. Maybe we'll put it right there. I don't know. Okay, but that's it. And so once that video is done playing, it'll just loop, and it's that one video over and over and over and over. Gross, right? So let's get rid of this. We're going to right click and we're going to choose remove. Okay. So now, are you sure you want to remove? Yes, I am. Okay. So now we're going to come back in here. We're going to click on the VLC video, and we're going to name this one BRB video. Oops, bid for you. Okay. You try typing around a microphone. Just kidding. All right. So here you can see the window's a lot different, right? So let me zoom in and follow again. So we have the loop and shuffle, and I'll explain the shuffle in a second. But the playlist here, you can add multiple things one by one. So I can come in here, I can add my file, and I can go to my video and I can add it. And then I can come in here and I can add a file, and I can find another clip and I can add it. Or let's get rid of these. You can come and click the plus sign and add a directory. And I can come in here and click the Twitch clips directory, select the folder, and now it's going to show every video inside that folder. It'll just go through the entire list. Now, if I want to shuffle my playlist, I click this little button. This is the playlist. Now, I'm not going to do it because there's only one, but if you're adding them individually and you don't want them to show up the exact same every time, you can click shuffle playlist. But the shuffle playlist does not do what you think it does. What do you think it does? You think it shuffles the playlist? You're wrong. You're wrong. I know it's confusing. Remember I told you when you open OBS and we were talking about the headphones and it installs everything that's set, and then it's like, okay, we're good to go. If you have shuffle playlist enabled, right, then what's going to happen is when OBS first boots up and it's running through its list and setting everything up, it's going to say, oh, this playlist needs to be shuffled. So it's going to look at the playlist, it's going to shuffle the order internally. It's not actually going to change the physical, it's not going to change the physical list itself, but internally it's going to give each one a play order. Everything that's on that list is going to give it a play order, and then that's set. So every time you go to your BRB screen, it's going to play video 1 first, and video 2 second, and video 3 third. And then you leave your BRB screen. When you come back, it's going to play video 1 first, video second, video 3 third, and on and on and on. The only way to change that order is to close OBS, reboot it again. It'll reshuffle that list. So what was video 1 may be video 10 now, but it's only for that instance, right? So it doesn't shuffle it every time. So if you have that and you're like, why isn't my shuffling over? That's why. Okay. But now, as you can see, we have the, with the VLC, we have the directory in there. So when we bring this in, let me mute this. Okay, now I can resize. There we go. We can position it where we want it, right? And now it'll go through and it'll play everything in that directory. So now we have clips on our BRB screen. We have our game scene and our starting soon. So we have our BRB screen. We have our video resized and positioned where we want it. We have our cool graphic back there to show everybody that we're on a Be Right Back, right? Everything's going. Chat is entertained while we're going to pee, and it's good to go, right? So we have our game scene with our webcam. Hi again, and we also have our starting soon scene. So we let everybody know. So how do we go live with OBS? Well, it's real easy. We're going to come down here to our controls, okay, and you see how the controls have start streaming, start recording, right? All you got to do is click start streaming. Let me zoom out. So once I click start streaming, it's going to stream to the service that we're connected to. In this case, it's going to be Twitch. And then we can go through and it'll, run whatever scene we have open. So we want to be on our starting soon scene when we click go live. And then this is a scene that'll be sent out to Twitch or to YouTube or whatever your service is. And then whenever you're ready, all you have to do is come over here and click on game scene. and it'll transition to your game scene. And there you go. Now you can do your things. You can play your game, right? We can come in here and be like, yeah, let's play the game. And then you're like, oh, we've been playing the game for a while. I got to refill coffee. I got to go pee. I got to take the dog out, whatever it is. We're going to be right back, folks. Sorry. Watch some clips in my absence. Boom. You click on the BRB scene. It comes in here. It starts playing your clips. It starts doing your thing. All right. And then when you come back and you've got a refill of coffee and the dog is all settled down, you're going to click on game scene, go back to your game. And then when you're done, you're going to come into controls, and where it says start streaming, it'll say stop streaming. You click on that, you say goodbye to everybody, click on stop stream, and you're done. It really is that simple. Okay. Now again, let's go back to, hold on. Let me close this because the music is in my ears. It's quiet now. Okay. But let's go back. So that is, again, a very basic setup. I do highly recommend that you watch the next video where we do the advanced setup and configuration. But doing these both together would, like I said, would have ended up being like a 3 or 4 hour long tutorial, which I know some of you like, and I do appreciate that. But I do feel that about an hour is good enough for my level of detail in my tutorials, and that's where I like to stick around at, and we are quickly approaching that time now. So with that being said, this is a basic intro to OBS Studio, showing you how to add scenes, how to add sources, how to do your initial setup for your streaming service, and I hope you found it helpful. Again, the advanced tutorial, which I will link to in the description, it'll probably have a little bubble that comes up as well whenever I talk about it, that you can click on and watch that one to go more in depth. And that one will cover like all the settings individually and show you what they mean and what I recommend that you use for your services. And just kind of show you more detail. We're going to show you, again, nested scenes, some advanced scene controls, filters for audio for your microphone and things like that to make sure that you sound good on stream as well. But with this video, you should be able to test out OBS right now. Make your scenes, go live, have your audience come in and check things out and see if you like it. It does take a little bit to get used to, but hopefully this helps you out and you can learn, hey, I can do this too. I hope you enjoyed it. If you found it useful, go ahead and please give me a thumbs up and like the video. It really helps and it makes me feel good. If you felt like you learned something and you want to learn more, go ahead and click on that subscribe button. That will make sure that you are alerted whenever I do post a new tutorial. And it makes me feel good too. I like feeling good, so make me feel good. But if you have any questions, any comments, if you want to see a specific video or you have a topic in mind that you want me to cover, drop a comment below and tell me what it is, and I will add it to my list of tutorials that I need to make, which is ever growing. And I'm so thankful for you and my loving community who's keeping me in tutorial lists, and I keep pushing them out, and hopefully we can one day make it all the way through and get everybody covered with everything that they need. But yeah, drop that comment. Let me know if you like the video. Let me know if you didn't like the video. Let me know anything you want to let me know. And again, if you have any ideas for a tutorial that you want to see in the future, leave that in the comments as well, and we will get to it. Thank you again, everybody, for your support and for hanging out and watching this video. Again, I hope it helped. Thank you. And until next time, love, peace, and chicken grease.